All right. Welcome back to the Smoking Men Tobacco Club podcast. I'm your host, Whitman, and I'm joined by one of my best friends in the world, Yancy. The man, the myth, the legend.
Good evening.
So, Yancy and I go back to high school days when he dated my sister for about a month and then was involved just hanging out with our family. We didn't really hang out in high school. We were aware of each other, but we started hanging out kind of post-college with a church group, and for one summer, basically just wreaked havoc.
Yep.
And
no one was safe.
we tried to become Insta-famous by tagging ourselves in photos at the beach and lifting weights and just doing a bunch of dumb shit. Yeah, Yancy is an awesome guy. He's hardworking. He's a veteran, and I'm very proud of him. He's a dad, and he has the same mustache as me, except mine is very masculine, and his is delightfully gay.
It is delightfully gay.
Because those are the only two categories that push broom mustaches fall into. But yeah, is there anything you want to say about yourself?
No, I'm an old, salty veteran. Love my kids. Love God. Love this man right here. It's been a privilege kind of growing up with him. He's one of those dudes who won't leave you stranded. And I'm very blessed and privileged to be on this podcast, and obviously know him and his family. So I'm excited to drink some whiskey and beer and smoke some cigars and learn a little bit about life and talk a little bit about life. So
talk about some man shit.
It's awesome, some man shit.
So to kind of recap our first two episodes, the first episode we kind of set the tone for what we want and our three pillars of the podcast. We're doing blind cigar reviews, so we're smoking cigars that we know nothing about, and that's very intentional, and we're just trying to avoid that confirmation bias. The second pillar of our podcast is we're trying to bring up good men, great men, and we look to the example of great men in history, our presidents, Tolkien, C.S. Lewis, Socrates, Aristotle, Churchill, and we want to emulate that, so we have discussions kind of around that and around the topics that they discuss, such as history, philosophy, theology, politics, and and the third tenet is we want you guys to be the fly in the room, to feel like you have a little bit of solidarity even when you're in solitude. And so in the first podcast, we kind of set that tone, talked about developing ourselves as men, being the Renaissance man, talked about how in order to be a successful man relationally with a woman, you need to first be a strong protector, then a good provider, you need to find your passion, and then you need to develop a relationship with other good men who are going to encourage you and build you up. For women, you want to become a gentle but strong encourager, and to see the king in your man even while he's still the peasant in the fields, and push him to be the king. Don't let him stay where he's at. So we're going to start getting into this cigar here. We are smoking the Mark Twain The Press. Again, know nothing about the cigar. It's a good-looking cigar, though. I have had one Mark Twain before and loved it. I'm blanking on the one that I had. Oh, it was last episode. I had the Riverboat. It was the barber pole. So this one smells really good. It is a box press. It's kind of got a medium tan color. And I'm expecting kind of a medium-bodied cigar, although color doesn't necessarily indicate strength. But yeah, so I'm going to start chopping here. And do you have anything to say about kind of just being a Renaissance man and building up, being a protector, then a provider, finding your passion, and finding relationships?
Yeah, I definitely would say that. Along with like great men in history, I think there's a lot of great men nowadays that we probably don't. Not that we don't know about, but a lot of good men. Like there's podcasts I listen to and men currently seeking, and guiding and trying to lead men to into society. If that makes sense. So obviously we want to grow not only great men but great women too, into this future that is so unknown and is constantly changing at a rate that sometimes we can't keep up with. But yeah, definitely we'll hit it all tonight. But I'm excited for this. It smells fucking delicious.
Now, fun fact, so Winston Churchill, I think I showcased this in the last episode as well, used to put the burnt end in his mouth and blow through just like this. And he swore by doing that. So, if it's good enough for Winston Churchill, it's good enough for me.
That's good.
And I still need to refill my
Nice.
my torches. So I reason the Star Spangled Barbecue lighter still. But you know what? Maybe this lighter is just going to become a staple of the podcast. So,
Just the lighter.
initial tasting notes. I'm getting like some pepper, just like pure pepper, like salt and pepper. Getting a little bit of that kind of leathery flavor, and then just very much just pure tobacco flavor, and it's really nice. It all goes really well together. Nice and mild, mild to medium bodied, and yeah. So those are my tasting notes. What about you? What are you kind of getting?
It's smooth. It's nice. It's definitely obviously tobacco. But usually I'm like, some cigars for me, I'm like, I have just terrible lungs. This one's like super smooth on me, so I like this. It smells good.
Yeah. Any other notes you're kind of getting? You kind of got to relight the top of that there.
I know, it keeps going out.
It's got a puff on it.
Uh-huh.
You're pulling a Lewis, which Yancy isn't familiar with that, but you got to get the bottom of it more.
There we go.
J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis were both big pipe smokers, and C.S. Lewis's pipe used to go out all the time. He had a hard time keeping it lit. Just keep the flame on it. You gotta get the bottom, bro. Jeez, this guy's a novice.
Fucking novice, dude.
Are we gonna do it like that? Man, I'm tempted to just like start this guy's cigar for him, but that's just wrong. Flip it over and do it the other way, because you're getting the. Oh, that is what she said. The flame on it. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Keep the flame going. Keep puffing it. Get a nice burn. Yep. Yeah, I swear I probably could have taught a monkey faster.
I was in the army, remember?
All right, good job.
I was in the military.
Eat one too many crayons.
Smoke too many crayons in the military.
So, yeah, tonight we're drinking just some Coors Banquet, the fanciest of the cheap beers.
So
and we do have a little bit of spiced whiskey as well that we'll get into.
I'm excited for that.
But, yeah, so I guess to go back to my initial point, because we were lighting up, how did your time in the military prepare you for being a husband, being a father, and being in that protector role? What did you learn in your time there that wasn't even necessarily part of their training that prepared you for that?
Oh, that's a good question. Honestly, I went in as not really lost, but I was doing some things outside of IX. I was an EMT for a few years before I went into the military, so I kind of had the local EMS system, and I was in the Army. I was a 31 Bravo, which is a military police officer. So aside from the police aspect of it, I learned a lot. One, protecting. Obviously you got to shoot your rifle and qualify and do all the military things. So everyone's a rifleman at the end of the day. So you want to be proficient at that. I learned that in the military, I shot weapons before, but during the military, like, I learned that I'm a really good shot, and that's one of the things that, you know, it's cocky to say, but it's like, you know, I'm a good dad, I'm a hard worker, and I'm a really good shot. So I'm not scared of like conflict or like any of that kind of like aspect of it. Obviously being a cop, I'm very patient and like I'm quick to de-escalation, and not really being one of those guys who like is like, oh, I'll fucking find you, I'm gonna fucking blah. I'm like, cool, dude, like do you. But in the military, back on track, I learned that it pushes you to a point where like that, like, you don't necessarily think you can go, and then you kind of start chasing that. Like, I started chasing that when I like after boot camp, and then when I went to like SRT school, and I went to like air assault, like everything like kind of got easier. Like things that people would scare you about, like they talk about one going in the military of like boot camp sucks, boot camp is hard, like no one does it, like, and it's like the whole 1% are like, you know, no one does it. When you're finally in there, like it's honestly like the best worst time of your life, because you're in there with your boys, and a lot of those guys will still talk to today, and you know, those guys are the ones who will be on planes tomorrow morning if like something like I need them, you know, like yourself, like that. I need them dearly. Like, but it puts you in a position where like, especially someone like me who like, I was able to rank up faster because I pushed myself more. I was able to get noticed by certain people and like pushed. And like, I remember even I have this text message from like my sergeant still of like, when I was selected for like special reaction team school, like kind of like a special forces, like little, like it's SWAT team in the military. And I remember like asking him, like, he texted me like, hey, you got selected for this school, and I was like, oh, like why? And he just simply put, you're a good soldier, and that's why we're gonna send you. And it's kind of like one of those things, like just being a man, like this, if you just do good, like good things will happen to you. And they're not necessarily things that like not you ask for or like probably wanted to do, because like no one wants to, like, you get selected for these things but you're not asking for them, and the things you're gonna go through are like kind of suck. But like people trust that, like, okay, I see Reyes as like someone I can trust to carry on, like, you know, my name as a sergeant and like the company's name as like the regiment. Like, you're not just representing yourself, you're representing the whole entire like battalion. And so you send them, and then you come back and they're like proud of you. But every little thing we did, like in schooling and the military, like if it was hard, I was chasing it. And at the end of the day, like I was like, I love that high of like, cool, what's next? Like, what's next? Like, what else can I do to like not even rank up, but like show myself like that sucked and I almost died, but like I want to feel that again. Yeah. And so, and that's kind of something that I'm honestly like as a man like been struggling post like military civilian life of like, there's not, unless you go into law enforcement and EMS, and I'm like slowly getting back into the EMS field, you can't really chase that. Like, yeah. You know, your testosterone is at a certain level, and now it's kind of like lower for me. But I love that, like, that adrenaline, I got this, I'm trained to do this, like coming from like a poor family, like I didn't think I'd be good at something in my whole life, and I was good at the military, and coming out of it, like you just kind of start finding like what you're good at. And if that makes sense, I just love what it showed me as a person of like, if you just push through it, like the other side, you know, it's so much so good. And you know, it's one of those like, I'm either gonna see God or I'm gonna get through this. Like I'm either gonna. So it's kind of like most of my life now. Where like I'm gonna push myself. So like either like, you know, like I was recently that video of like the NASCAR driver who like just holds the wall to like win the race, and he's like, I'm putting my foot in the pedal and I'm not stopping unless I see the checkered flag or God. And like that's the whole mentality of my life. And I'm like, I'm not stopping until like, you know, I need to know how this ends. But either way, it's gonna end one way, and I'm kind of glad of either way.
Yeah, either way, it's a good ending, and it's not your problem anymore.
Yeah, yeah, it's not a problem. Like we're good.
So, you'd say then, in summation, I guess, that your time in the military prepared you to not just endure hard things, but to seek out those hard things to develop your character and cause some growth.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Like I wouldn't say I was a stupid, you know, kid growing up and doing dumb shit, but it gives you structure. It breaks you down, brings you back up, gives you structure, lets you know, like, and even like this last year or two, I've kind of learned more about like, you know, myself as a man, and like there's things I don't know, but it's like easy to learn them, and just having that confidence of like, I got this, and kind of going to places like, I get worried. Like my biggest fear is like becoming old where I can't perform, and so now I'm like, I want to be able to be healthy, and do good things and like help where I can. And I know we get into that later about like generational things, but I think that's a big one now for a generation of like you can't be scared to just like help other people. It's a big one. I feel like there's a lot of people who just leave you out there to die or figure it out, and then there's those good people who are genuinely out there to like pass on the knowledge of like, how do you know this? And even in the military, I've gone through a certain time where a young soldier come up to me and I'd be like, do this, do that, do that, and they'd be like, how do you know like the certain route to like go through to like get these things? Like, I just, the last person helped me out, I'm passing knowledge on to you. I'm not going to withhold any knowledge that will benefit me, but benefit you, that benefited me. And I feel like that's just evil. Like if I just like in Christ, like if I'm not going to be man enough to like tell you about how good the Lord is, like then I don't deserve to know. Like I don't deserve to like to be here either. So like that's, we'll get into that later, like generational things, but that's definitely something like character wise, like it just
Well, I think he touched on two really key issues. Number one is that modern men aren't being challenged. They're not facing situations where they have to overcome the worst thing that they're having to do or to put up with or to overcome, so to speak, is boredom at work and feeling burnt out at work and feeling, we touched on this in the first podcast, just this feeling of, I only do one thing, this is my identity, and there's a huge breadth of personality and hobbies and interests and capabilities that I would love to explore and I'm not. And with that, the opportunity to do something new, do something that is a challenge at first, and improve at it. And I think that is something that just men need in general. Men need to do hard things and overcome them and build up that discipline and build up that confidence. And that's kind of the second point, or maybe a little bit of a tangential point that you made, is building up that confidence. I think because of that first point, that men aren't having to overcome things, they're lacking that confidence. And,
I definitely agree.
And then the cycle continues where then they're not pursuing hard things.
That's a big one. I feel like I know certain like militaries in the world do this, where they send like young men to serve, like you have to serve or you get drafted to serve like for 2 or 3 years. And I definitely wish that was a thing here in the military, in the US. Like nothing against our, like, one, it would give us kind of more of like the military is like currently struggling to get people even in. That's a whole different topic, but it would definitely push people to, like, if you go in, push someone to the limit, like you'll get the best out of them. But you're right, we have a generational thing where everyone just wants to take it easy, and like the system is like supporting it, and like there's all these crazy theories even about veterans of like keeping us down, the strong people that we raised up to be strong, like they don't want us to be strong anymore, like. So that's a big point. That's something I agree with a lot of, like, people get comfortable, and then they get mad that they're not where they want to be, and it's because they haven't done shit. And I believe that, like, when you wake up every morning and like you're just constantly progressing and like chasing like good and being better, like you're motivating people to do better. And it's sad to see that people who like do that too sometimes get criticized of like just wanting to be better, and like they're doing more than you, dude. Like they're doing way more than you. So like I think it's a morally good thing to like wake up, do the right thing, push yourself to the limit, because there's someone who's probably looking at you like, I can do that, I should do that, but instead it's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm comfortable where I am and I'm okay with that. And you're like, that's not good, because in 50, 60 years you're going to complain. That's a whole nother problem we're going to have, for people not being where they want to be. And it's like, fuck, like, dude, you like it. It's on you.
And it is on you. And at the same time, I think, like you said, the system is rigged so that people who want to stay comfortable can be comfortable. But then the people who want to actually grow and develop and, expand their talents, multiply their talents, as Jesus said in the Bible, really don't have good opportunities to do so.
Definitely.
And to build up that confidence, which is part of being a protector. Now, the second point he touched on that I think is also critical is lack of support.
Mm.
And I think, and you kind of touched on a little bit that just generationally, it's interesting hearing boomers and Gen Xers bitch about millennials, and it's like you guys raised us.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're responsible for our own actions, but it also just kind of makes you wonder, like, okay, if you can go back, how would you do things? But because you can't go back, what wisdom can you impart on us now to help encourage us and make us better men? So I guess my real question is, why do you think there's this generational divide? Because obviously the military has a whole host of ages in there, and obviously the higher ups are going to be older than you, and they're imparting that wisdom. Why do you think we're not doing that in the civilian world, where the older generation isn't building up young men as well? Or do you think that's just my perception?
No, it's not definitely a perception. So like for myself, like going back, like I was raised without a father. My dad left me my dad left me when I was like not even a month old. And though he has tried to contact me, like there's a whole part of that my story that's like forget. Like he's doing his thing, I'm doing my thing.
Mm-hmm.
But for myself, like looking at my own career, my own life, like I had a very strong mother, and though we still have butt heads today, like I chose without a father to join the military. I chose without a father to join EMS and save lives. Like I've joined to like work for like police departments and like do the EMS thing, and like those are all like hero type things to do. Like, but I wasn't chasing this like I want to be a hero. I was chasing this like I want to be a good man in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back, it was like I was chasing something I never had, and kind of going into the whole like boomer, Gen X, like millennial thing. Like our generation, like I'm actually like I know there's a lot of people who like take I think it's 50-50 for me. There's a lot of people who take advantage of the system, but there's also a lot of people I see that are our age who are like chasing excellence into a sense. So like they work at daily like CrossFit and like High Rocks, and like working out is like a generational thing that our generation has like been so fucking good at. Even though like their politics and like sometimes people don't agree, like I go to the gym and it's always packed. Like it's like super cool to see all these people like just like constantly like even if they're not doing good things in life, they're progressing like physically, and that's kind of a cool thing. Like I just ran a race, and I actually went to go sign up for a race this morning, and it was sold out. Like it like these we're chasing like this one like generational, like we're chasing like this like achievement part that like the boomers I feel like never gave us in a sense. If that makes any like I think for myself, like I don't care if boomers don't like me, but like I don't trust certain ages at a certain point, and I just think like they like to just throw in our face like we set you guys up, and I'm like for what? Like they like to like just be like we you guys are failing us. Like I'm like you failed us. Like honestly, at the end of the day, like they like to be selfish and just kind of say like we did this so you can have that. And I'm like, what did you actually do? Because like we're kind of screwed now. like
what is
your guys' timeline was super short. Like we're living in a time where like tomorrow a new iPhone comes out, and like the pace of technology and like betterment is like faster, but like you guys didn't do a lot for us. A lot of us have been kind of figuring out this shit for ourselves, and we're kind of good at it. Like we're kind of good at it. And like I think what is different too, like we got from like both like the generation before us of like not a lot of sympathy, but like it helps us because we're able to balance like we don't like we don't care, like we're not like we don't really care, and it kind of gives us like we can break up relationships and like do better. Like our fathers and stuff like really didn't give us that sympathy of like it was more like be a man, and like I think we kind of try to balance of like love and also like be strong at the same time. If that makes any sense. But they showed us like hard love, and I think for a lot of us like with kids, like we're trying to show them like no, you can love and still be like a man. Like you can cry and still be a man. Like you can go out and do good things and still be a man. And it's not about like impressing anyone. It's literally just about like just being better. If that makes any sense. But
so you think I am curious because, we do live in a society where, you get a participation trophy.
Yeah.
So how do you reconcile that with then, like you said, though, we're a generation, and I will say I think Gen Z is doing this better than millennials. I think Gen Z is the one, for the most part, pursuing excellence, and because really we're kind of an anomaly as millennials.
Yeah.
But
we're doing a very weird time period. Where it's,
yeah. How do you reconcile those ideas? And then why do you think there's this mentality difference between boomers and millennials and Gen Z and
going participation, there's a lot of things I don't know. I feel like people don't really care about status anymore. I think that's something that we've kind of learned to kind of put on the side.
I agree.
Of there's no more status chains. It's you can be a guy no one really knows everyone's story, but what am I trying to say? There's not women and I are both cops. That's what I hang out with. No, some of my buddies are teachers and in this weird status quo. No one's really seeking to be part of a certain group. Everyone likes the mentality of different men, different perspectives of life. It doesn't matter where you come from, and it's a good generational hop to we are all doing this together, and we all have perspectives. And there's been a lot of people in my life who I've been able to benefit from just hearing what they did to get through it, and what I did to get through it. And at the end of the day, I don't know how to say it any better than before. I think a lot of things were just superficial of you're a cop, I'm a cop, I'm a, this and that. And I think now a lot of are focusing on the soul and getting down to the nitty gritty of why you're the way you are. And I think it's more intentional. It's a lot more intentional.
I can see that. I mean, I will say, growing up at the church we went to, it was predominantly a certain type of people, and not even race per se, but it was class. Yeah, there was a certain type of person. It was most of the adults were doctors or lawyers or highly skilled basically just highly skilled professionals with what you would consider high status.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the backbone of relationship. And I think it led to perhaps some superficial relationships for the previous generation, and also a expectation for millennials and Gen Z to be a certain way. There was that sort of classism.
Yeah, the classism and the certain boots, shoes to fill that we weren't made for.
Yeah,
there's just certain people because we've seen it.
Well,
we've had plenty of friends who you're this person their dad or their doctor whatever you want this, and then they end up being something completely out. And what got sad about was that pressure to be that status, and then losing so many good people to from the church who just couldn't take it because they just wanted some freedom.
They couldn't live up to the expectation of be this, do this, you have to go to college, get a good job so you can make a lot of money. I mean, it seems like a lot of us kind of heard that same exact story, and then tying it back into what you said earlier, just this tough love that at the end of the day wasn't even love. It was just, it seemed like a lot of us were just getting screamed at, yelled at, and kind of, for lack of a better word, mistreated to a degree, which I do find interesting. And then, so now you're saying, though, something that millennials and Gen Z are doing better is they're actually having deep relationships, deep conversations, and kind of exploring the breadth of what it means to be human, and not using status to find who they're going to be in a relationship with.
Definitely.
And that opens you up to more walks of life.
Definitely. Even in high school, there's a lot of people who you just have that status, or like they play certain sports, or like they're this and that. And then I've learned a lot of friends I've kind of recently after high school, like I've learned that they're just the same person as me, like same music, same, like even like yourself, like you think of them a certain way, and then you kind of have a conversation, you're like, oh, you know who this is too, like you kind of have that weird, like, oh, you're just a kid like me, like we have the same we have the same interests. And it's not about you being a doctor, me being like this or that. It's like we just generally want to click on like having similar interests. And yeah, sometimes it's like that, like, well, you make more money than me, that's cool, but like at the same day, like, dude, let's go play paintball, like let's like do some cool shit together, because I don't care about what you do for work, like on the weekends, like we're buddies, like. So it's a lot of that where you're right, there's that church we went to expectation, and then people just kind of like not wanting that growing up. And so I feel a lot of like millennials and even Gen Z, they start trying to break that mold of like, I don't want to be this person and miss out, like myself. I'm gonna be completely honest, like I'm recently divorced, and I was a part of a family who, like, that's kind of what they did, and I lost a lot of myself over 10 years, and I promised myself I like won't do that again. Like I got criticized by friends and family who were just like, you changed just to fit this mold that like you were never meant to be in. And coming out of it, dude, like this has been like one of the best years of my life, like re-experiencing life, individuality. And like this last week, dude,
oh man,
I watched like all the Star Wars movies, and I bought some like Star Wars Legos, and like I'm kind of like nostalgically going through like a childhood that like I kind of like pushed back for so long. And it wasn't because like I couldn't do it before, but it was because I couldn't do it before. It was kind of like that, like, don't let people see like how fucking nerdy you are, don't let people see like that you're weird or like have certain quirks that like it doesn't resonate with our church or our family well, like don't be that guy. And now I'm like, no, I am that guy, like, and it doesn't affect, if anything, it brings me more friends. If anything, I'm like, hey, I played Pokemon Go. That's like, oh, cool, I have Pokemon Go too. Like, and unless I would have said that out loud, people would have thought like some like cocky, like arrogant looking cop dude, like did not have fun. But like I feel like we're definitely breaking the mold as generation, and I think you're right. Gen Z has a better grasp of like being sympathetic, but also just like pursuing good. And we're in a very weird like area, because the millennial age, like we have friends who a lot older than us, millennials, and people who are younger than us. Like we're kind of on the bottom list of like, I'm 31 years old. Like we're like the late 90s babies.
I
like,
think the cutoff for millennials was 95 or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's so my younger brother too, he's millennial, and our styles are completely different too. We're like,
it's like 85 to 95 or something. So we're a little on the younger.
And we just lived in a generation where like, you know, this is a lot, but like we just got through, like I always tell people like my age group, like a big one for me, my age group and like that the millennial age group, we just like got so much information at once. Like we had technology, we had music coming out, and a lot of good music. And like I feel bad for the generations who are not getting good music like this, because
music now sucks.
And everyone is kind of fast. Like people are like unless you like kind of sit on a certain like type of music, there's everyone I talk to, like even my younger brother too, who is a 95 baby, who like he knows this artist but also knows this artist, and like we kind of were able to like go back and reference like certain things in our life that like we just lived in a good time of like music and like nostalgia and like toys and shows that like kind of shaped who we are.
Real quick, we'll keep carrying on this topic a little bit now that we're about midway through the cigar. It's mellowed out a lot. I've lost all that pepperiness, and
this is easy, like I don't smoke a lot of cigars, but this is like an easy, like I definitely smoke this again.
Yeah, like, there's absolutely zero pepper, just a nice plain tobacco flavor, maybe a little bit of butter, definitely some strong leather coming through, and maybe like just mild I want to say like hibiscus, not necessarily hibiscus, but definitely floral notes I'm tasting.
I like floral.
We were all shown one way of being men growing up, and it's been all millennials that I've had on the podcast so far. So I am curious, as I start getting some older men on the podcast, kind of hearing their thoughts too, and seeing where that divide kind of occurs. Because I will say, as far as again, as far as millennials go, you and I are kind of anomalies. Most of the people pretty much everyone in my friend group is an anomaly in that regard of Christian, kind of conservative leaning, or at the very least libertarian, or not liberal, I should say.
Yeah.
And good, strong work ethic. So I will say, is difficult in some ways as our lives were growing up with the tough love. At least our parents did a good job of instilling in us, or at least we retained the work ethic and the drive and the morals that a lot of our age group frankly has lost. I mean, I saw a lot of people that were in our circles leave the church, and they're very much leftist, and so giving credit where credit's due. I think Gen Z is trying to pick back up that torch of the older generations, and again having that drive and trying to improve upon it. We talked a little bit about diversity in relationships, and that is a core tenet of, or I think a very important part of being a man is establishing that, good relationship with good men who are in your corner backing you up. How do you find that, and how do we, because we still need this building up, we still need this wisdom from the older generation that we're feeling like we didn't get, and tying it back to our last episode, instilling wisdom into the younger generation. How do we bridge all these gaps, I guess? How do we bridge these generational divides?
I think that's a good question.
It's a bit of a tough question.
I think we need to not only talk about it more, especially in the church, but as men, bridging those gaps to me means more of like being more intentional. How do I say this? So, you go to church and you have like, I think I went on a few. I'm not sure if you went on a few at the church we're at. The father's son, like camping trips, and like
I went on a couple.
The men's breakfasts, and like the kind of like the dad and son or dad and daughter like one-on-ones, which is good. But like it speaking like just toward the church right now, like I feel like it needs to be more of a common thing of like, men are being men, but like we need to find ways to like have them connect better with themselves. And like, I've been part of a lot of like discipleship groups with men, and I feel like one thing that we just kind of lack is like not being as intentional as we should be. As like, I feel like a lot of women go to like these groups and they have like great breakthroughs and like good things. I feel like a lot of men hold back in the sense of like not being so intentional, or like not hiding certain things.
So
and it's
vulnerability
and
now,
being a man.
To interject a little bit, do you think that is generational? Because again, I feel like that was what we heard from a lot of the previous generation growing up. A man, plays it close to his chest. A man can't be deep. A man can't show emotion, and that seemed to have been imparted on us, and either we repeated it or we stifled our emotions, which again is essentially repeating it, or we went completely the opposite direction, where we just didn't know how to handle emotions and have gotten all haywire.
Yeah, we haven't known how to handle emotions, and I feel like a lot of men struggle with like the same struggles, same things that kind of put us in a corner and like make us feel the same way. And I think I've learned this here. It is hard to trust other men sometimes. I think a lot of us feel judged, or like we don't want to really show faith after being so vulnerable. But I've learned this here. It's a big miss, because if you're struggling with something, bro, and like you just tell me like surface level shit, and you're like, hey, I'm struggling with this because of that, and you just leave on the surface, like as a man before, it'd just be like, okay, man, like, just pray, read some verses, like go through your Bible, like, there's about forgiveness and like lust and shit like that.
Now, do you think that's a church thing or a all men thing?
It's a church thing, but like getting back into like as a man thing too. Like for the church, that's like the kind of the church perspective of like, here's some verses. Here you go, bro. We all struggle.
It's, I've gone through I didn't journal.
Yeah,
or whatever,
exactly. Like I did it.
I didn't read my Bible as much.
Yeah, this will help me. But going back to like just being a man, like we can leave it there, or we can definitely be those guys. Or like I'm sure those guys, you know, in our lives, and like I want to be that for you, dude. Where it's like, if you're struggling with something, like I need to fucking know like where it's coming from, like, and you need to be honest, you know, like, because at the end of the day, like you're either gonna stumble and do that shit again, and it's gonna affect like yourself, your mental health, or like your marriage, and like I would hate to see anything happen to any of those things. But like obviously going through what I went through with my divorce, like I've learned to kind of like just be vulnerable, not to a point, but like vulnerable, and like for myself understand why things failed.
Yeah. And
then working on those things, like going down into like the bunker and like literally like, you know, rewiring shit, you know, why. And I think what I'm trying to say is like, you need to understand someone's soul and like why the fuck they're doing these things to ever get past it. Like it's something that like, you know, there's battles that we're fighting that like, you know, God is like wanting us to like focus on like, you know, that one thing, but we're still living life and going through like the daily struggles of like income and like mental health and shit. But there's things that are deep down inside of us that we don't talk about because we don't think it's a big deal until like it comes out, and then it affects everything. But you're right, it's intentionality and like vulnerability is so hard for dudes because nobody wants to shit out there.
Yeah,
nobody wants, you know. And I was lucky enough to like, not lucky, but like when my divorce happened, all that shit came out. Yeah, there's no hiding from it. Yeah, you know, my divorce failed because my marriage failed because of lust, and instead of like addressing it and go to counseling and seeking the things that like I should have individually, one, I didn't have a community of men who were going to be that way and, you know, get my ass until afterwards, and I didn't have a community in my spouse that was like fix it. It was more like a you're a man type thing, you know, like old school mentality. Man up. Yeah, man up, like get through it, you know, mental health wise too. Like no one understands until you go through it. And even then when you try to talk about it, no one fucking gets it. So like, and you kind of go back to like, if no one cares, then like, you know, I'll do it alone still. But definitely,
I think you hit the nail on the head. Just to interject some, and no one cares. Yeah, and that's definitely a feeling a lot of men feel. I mean, how do we start to overcome this? I guess is the big question, because a lot of men every man I talk to feels this way.
Yeah, definitely.
And every man I talk to is like, you can be vulnerable because I genuinely care about you. Yeah, and want to be there for you. And how do we start bridging that gap and building up these good, healthy relationships? Because that is, you know, one of the core tenets here is developing those healthy masculine relationships. How do we find those, and how do we step up and set the example that it's okay to be vulnerable because people actually do care?
Yeah, I think.
So maybe address the first topic first. Where do we find these relationships?
We find them
because a lot of people are struggling to find new relationships, and people are struggling to get together, especially since COVID. Yeah. So how do we find new relationships, and B, how do we just forget the new relationships? How do we build up the relationships that we have and create that depth and vulnerability so that we can be the iron that sharpens iron for one another?
Yeah, I think so. The first one, I think you start reaching out to people who, you know, if you're not in a church community and they don't have groups going on, like right now my group just kind of finished off, but I've met some good men who, like, you know, I know now. I think a good one is social media is like such a big thing where, like, you know, you can use it for good and evil. I think you just start like seeking out people who like have just the same like values, and people kind of put their shit out there all the time where like they run or like they work out or they have the similar, like, you know, if say you do CrossFit, someone else does CrossFit, you have a fucking connection there. If you go to church, the same church, you have a connection there. If you work in the same field, you have a connection there. Like you just kind of start intensely going out to people who like have the same similar mindset or same like kind of background as you, and then kind of start pursuing that. There's a few friends who like I didn't talk to in high school, and I saw that they like certain things, and you start commenting like, hey bro, that's a fucking nice Tacoma, like, you know, you have a Jeep, I have a Jeep,
Yeah.
you know, and like you kind of start enchanting like, hey, like start talking about it, finding those relationships.
I have
like,
a Jeep too.
Yeah, like me too. Like,
and I never wanted one. I hate Jeeps.
But
I have a nice Jeep.
have you seen mine? Yeah,
I don't think I have.
No, yeah, check it out later.
Yeah.
It's nice. But just those like, you know, like that. I don't know anyone like in the Jeep community, but like I have that fucking weird intentional wave now with people that like people want me to do it, and I'm like, cool, like, and it's like a community. I guess just find people who just kind of have the same kind of personality, or like at church I kind of gotten better at it, where I'm like, hey bro, like your fashion's fucking good. Like I don't have good fashion sense, but like, you know, I'm like, oh, you have cool. I like your boots, dude. Like you like your fucking tattoos. Like nice. Like I have fucking not tribal, fucking what is it called, traditional like tattoos on my arm, and I find people who like have the same kind of shit. Like you just connect with that, and then when there's opportunity that comes up to like be intentional with someone to hang out, I think a big one right now, and I'm a failure at it, dude. Where it's like, as soon as you take on the responsibility of like being there for someone, or being like, hey bro, like I'm your buddy, like it's a job. I think a lot of people downplay it, of like we're friends superficially, and like that's enough. Or like I'll text you every once in a while like, hey bro, love you, or like, you know, I apologize right now for it. And like my brothers too, I have 3 brothers, and every once in a while I'll just be like, hey bro, I love you, always here for you. Like even anything, like they're my brother, that's different, where like they know they can come to me. But like as brothers in Christ and brothers like just separate from families, or you know, best friends, is like, yeah, it's one it's one thing to like just be like, hey man, I'm in your fucking foxhole, if you need shit, you know, I'm here. And then actually fucking coming through with it. Yeah. You know, not just being that person who's like, yeah, we're brothers to the end, but actually like when you call me at 3 a.m, it's like I'm on my way. You know, you sign up not just for a fucking friendship, you sign up for like a person who like you need to be there. Because like men have like very few friends, and the ones, you know, like, you know, and sometimes they're put off by like if I met someone new and they're like, oh yeah, me and my friend so and so and so and so, I'm kind of turned out to like, oh, he already has friends. Yeah. You know, like, but who knows, that could be your next best friend, or someone who's there. Yeah. But yeah, definitely like once you sign up that card, like you have to be there. And like for yourself, like I apologize, and even for like my buddy who right now, who's going through some shit that I went through, like for me, I'm like, I'm trying to be intentional with him too, because I've gone through that shit, and I don't want him to be alone. Because I even told his mother, I'm like, I know he's going through it, and it's about to get fucking dark, and I need to know, I need to tell you as his mom, like I will be there for him, like, and not just that relationship, but like our relationship, and even my brothers, who like we have a good relationship, but like I want it to be better, like. So as soon as you find those dudes, like it isn't just a, hey, like we're friends, I see you at church every Sunday, I got you, bro. It's literally like, I fucking got you. And it's not for me to just say like, I got you. Yeah. It's for me to say, I got you. And that's the fucking like ticket to like, that's my like, I'm punching in until you tell me to punch out. Like that's what it is. Like, you know, like it's like, I'll go where you send me, dude. Like you're not alone. And I know a lot of guys struggle with that, where it's like, you know, I go through it, where it's like no one fucking cares. So like I'm gonna post these sad shit all over social media, and it's a cry for help. Or I'm gonna text my buddy like, hey bro, having a good day, and that's honestly like, hey, I need you fucking right now. Like, and just being more intentional, which I apologize again for it, but like, you know, you want to have a good relationship with your, you know, your spouse, and be like focused at work and be 100% everywhere. But like that's the reality is like it's hard. Like, it is hard, you know. But you just keep communicating with your bros and people, like, you know, not just like your bros, but like, you know, your family and your wife, like intentionally just like being there. It's like the people, you know, you make time for and like are intentional about, like, you know, it's gonna come through. Like it's gonna pay for. But I think that's what I would say. Like, and I think we're bad at it. We're really bad at it. And for myself, like,
now, do you think, again, interjecting a little bit, that was a COVID thing? I mean, to me, it seems like that was a big COVID thing. People lost intentionality because they got comfortable being isolated. But as we've established, men feel isolated still and uncared for still, and have for years, you know, across many generations. And how do we how do we overcome that hurdle of being intentional?
Mm.
I mean, so you said, just to back up and summarize a bit, to make new friends, to make good connections, get involved in a church group, or find some sort of community where you can meet people.
Yeah.
And then from there, don't engage in superficial bullshit like status or race, or even age, or how much fucking money you're making.
Yeah.
But find common interests, things that you like. On this channel, we obviously like whiskey, beer, and cigars.
Yeah.
And finding that initial kind of common point and expanding on that. So then getting into intentionality, once you make those friends, how do we overcome that hurdle that COVID caused and start being more intentional? Because, again, that's a sentiment I've heard from lots of men of, man, I miss my friends, but I have all this responsibility. And I guess that would really be the final thoughts. How do we break this cycle, man? How do we start being more intentional? How do we use the little bit of time we have to build that relationship that all of us are craving, and that will give us more life?
Yeah. Just back to it, being intentional and honest with people. You don't want your buddies. You don't want to lose anyone. During COVID, I was in the military, so it was kind of a different dynamic. You were kind of you were separated, but we were together. So it wasn't, I didn't really lose anyone, or that connection. Like, we were always kind of fucking together. But getting out, it's more of like being intentional, and like I would say, like, just during like this time of the year too, of like that, like, it's a big depression, like November, the holidays, of like not having someone or losing someone or not knowing how to cope with it. It's definitely like not just being people who are just gonna say like, hey, like, I'll make time. Like, I've been trying to set up like a game night for like friends, like to get together, and I keep fucking saying that. We keep trying to set up a men's like a men's thing where you're like, hey, we're gonna do this, and then like fucking a few months later, like, I'm still thinking about it, you're still thinking about it.
Like,
guys are like,
when are
we gonna fucking do it? And just kind of bridging those gaps too. Like, I have a bunch of not a bunch of buddies, but like friends who I love to like mingle, and like friends like that come together, of like finding good brothers where like, if I don't, like if I can't be there, then you'll be there, and it's hard, like finding those dudes. Just honestly, it's being intentional. Like, you have to be there. Like, if you sign up to be someone's friend, like, it's a relationship. Like, at the end of the day, it's a relationship. It's not like you're not married to that person, but like, you're also like, that person needs you too.
So you feel so recognizing that you have a responsibility to that person.
Definitely.
Still. Gotcha.
A huge responsibility. Like, if you're not the only one going through this shit, like, like I told you, like, I have a buddy who's going through like some shit I went through, and I can reconcile it. I'm never going to be that guy who be like, this is what I did to make it better. Like, but I'll be the guy who's like, listens to you and tells you like how you should go about it, in a sense. Or like, just be there, not tell anyone what to fucking do, but like, my shit's not figured out yet, but I can also like, he's like, for clarification, like, I have a buddy who, recently divorced, has a kid. His ex is about to take his kid away for like, they're fighting for it, but he does a whole thing with me too, where like, I only see him a certain amount of times, and because they're both in the military, like, they're kind of separated, and he loves his kid so much where like, it's heartbreaking to see him. Like, for me, like, I see my kid as much as possible. Like, I'll drive with her right now if she allowed me to, like, see him, and we're co-parenting really well, but at the end of the day, like, I miss my kids, and to see someone like in the same kind of position sucks, but also like knowing like he might not see his kid for months kills me too. So like, to promise his mom, not just him, like, I'll be there, because it's gonna get fucking dark, and I would hate to lose him to a battle that he doesn't deserve. He doesn't deserve this battle, but it is what it is. And as a godly man, where I try to proclaim, like, if I'm not pursuing God and doing the right things, like, who am I? Like, if that makes sense. Like I want my buddies to go to heaven with me. At the end of the day, like, I want my buddies to go to heaven with me. I want us all to have a good time. And we're not here for like a long time. I can fucking die tonight. Like, so like, everything I do needs to be intentional. Everything I do needs to be like glorifying God. And we fucking stumble, and we're men, and we do stupid shit. But at the end of the day, it's like, like, why am I here? Like, I need to be like good to my bros. I need to be good to my sisters. Like, you know, it's that's kind of what this life is about. You know, like just doing good things, being a good man, and just, you know, that makes any sense. Like, it's a common struggle. Yeah. You know, and until we start recognizing that shit, you know, it's gonna keep reoccurring. And I feel like proud that there's certain guys finally talking about it, and certain people finally like making like ways around it. But also, like, as men, like, we can't avoid it anymore. You know, there's certain times where I put out certain things like, hey, let's do this, and you kind of gotta start calling people out. Like, hey man, like, why aren't you hanging out with me? Like, why aren't you doing this? Like, why aren't you doing this? Like, I need you. And if you don't hang out with me, like, just be honest. Like, just tell me, like, you don't be my friend. Like, we'll leave it at that. Like, honestly, like, if you don't want to be my friend and like you have other things to do, like, no, I will be here. But like,
I also don't have time for that shit.
Exactly.
And we've all experienced that.
Yeah.
I've experienced that a lot. And I think with that, the calling people out is your circle is going to shrink.
Yeah, you'll find exactly who you need to be there.
I'm starting to realize that that's okay.
Yeah.
Because the ones who matter will be there.
Yeah.
Step up. Well,
and for myself too, like, I would apologize on here. Like, I like got into like, you know, being more intentional with the church and kind of finding my way. So it wasn't me like trying to back off from any friends. It was like, I'm not good. I don't want to be around people going through the same mental shit that I've been going through with like my divorce and stuff, and the same conversation. Like, I want to get better so that I can support my dudes better too. And so like I said, I told you, like, I'm more intentional in the church. Like, I'm, you know, leading worship and like being this dude that like I used to be, but at a better fucking version of that.
Yeah.
So that I can, like, at the end of the day, like, have buddies like you and, you know, friends like you who like know, like, oh, he's good, like he'll come through. Yeah. So like that's it. That's and for me too, like I'll be honest, like, you won't see my cry for help, like, but like, no, it's there. Like, no, it's fucking there, dude. Like we're all going through shit, and it just, if we just be more intentional and honest and kind of just get down to the root of it, you know, it'll help us all at the end of the day. Because like, I want to be here shooting this podcast in like 20 years with you, being like, it worked. That. Like, that shit worked.
Hey, what do you know? I like that. That's a good ending for the conversation. So I'll summarize, but first, get some whiskey.
I've been looking for it all night.
It's good. This is the Rod and Hammer winter spiced whiskey. It's pretty good. Got a little bit of the sweet flavor isn't too strong. Jeez, man. No, it's fine. I'm good. I mean, I had a glass about that big, but I don't have to drive. But we can hang out after, so it's fine. Yeah, I mean, I have the Queen blow up that I have is actually really comfortable. I've slept quite a bit on it. Actually, my wife and I do campouts occasionally.
Okay, I was like, what the fuck did you do?
Yeah, no, nothing. Before I summarize, let me just say this.
It's fucking good.
This cigar, now that I'm at the end, I lost a lot of the flavors towards the end of the middle portion. I was just getting pure
tobacco.
No, I was getting like pure leather flavor. It was actually really nice, and it was so buttery and smooth. And then now that I'm approaching the end, I'm getting a lot of that pepperness back.
Oh, back.
Yeah, I lost all the floral notes, lost all the pepper notes. I just had tobacco, just like pure plain tobacco and leather. And then I lost the tobacco flavor and just had a nice buttery, like a salted butter leather kind of flavor. And then now the pepper is kind of back now that I'm at the end. So all in all, I think this was a really good cigar. I would still probably only give it, I haven't actually rated any of the cigars. I'll give this like a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10.
I think a 7 out of 10, maybe. I think 6 out of 10.
6.7.
6 out of 10 is good. Better than average. I think people lose that on the 1 to 10 scale. Is that a 6 out of 10 isn't bad.
Yeah,
it's not great, but it's not bad. It's better than average. Yeah. It's a good cigar. Now, before we close out our session, to summarize kind of everything in a few words, I'll just say, For men, pursue hard things and overcome them. Even just small things, man. As someone who's battled with depression, and maybe I'll pick up back on this in the next episode. But as someone who's battled depression, starting small, if you're in depression, you're not brushing your teeth, you're not exercising. So brushing your teeth for 5 seconds is better than not brushing your teeth.
That's good.
Working out for 5 minutes or even just going for a walk around the block is better than not exercising at all. So even if you're, as a man, pursue hard things and overcome them. And even if that hard thing is something small, start small. It's okay.
That's good.
Number 2, recognize that we all feel isolated and alone and feel like no one cares. But when we get together, we say, dude, I care about you. If you're friends, you're signing up for the long haul. And people do care, so become vulnerable. And if the other guys in your circle are not being vulnerable, set the example by being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And they will step up to the plate because they'll see, oh, my buddy's vulnerable. And once you start getting conversation going, men tend to open up a little bit more.
Yeah, and once you start getting better, so people start seeing you fucking glow again, dude. That sounds gay.
Yeah.
But like, start seeing you like be good
seeing
again,
the light.
seeing the light
Seeing
of
the light
you
in
again.
you.
Like they understand it works. Shit works.
Yeah. And then and this ties into this, the last kind of point, be intentional. You have a responsibility to your friends. If you are signing up to be someone's friend, you have a responsibility to them that I think a lot of people miss is we're in a day and age where people say, or where we've been conditioned, at least in the church, that once you have your wife, that's your like end all be all responsibility. No, you still have a responsibility to the other people in your life, the other relationships in your life. And yes, your first priority is your wife and protecting her and providing for her and making sure that your family is comfortable, but you also have a responsibility to the other relationships that are in your life. And so be intentional, and set the standard. Start reaching out to the friends in your life, making plans to hang out, making plans to have fun, because it's critical to manhood. And if you are recognizing this, if you're the only one in your circle who's really saying, oh, this needs to happen, even if everyone else is saying it, step up as a man, step up as a friend, step up as a brother, and say, okay, I'm going to plan something. We're going to get together.
Yeah, definitely.
And that way we know at the end of the day that we're there for each other.
Definitely.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that podcast, and we'll catch you on the next one. See ya.